Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to our Where the Road Rises social distance set with me, your host, Eileen Curlin-Walsh. Our guest today delivers a breath of fresh air in the midst of our COVID-19 anxiety. Renee Oswald, owner of Your Mind Over Matter, is a holistic practitioner, certified hypnotherapist and meditation teacher. Renee teaches meditation practice to organizations, local libraries, and has taught meditation classes with our own Dr. Principe, who is of course a great friend and regular guest here at Channel 4. Renee uses hypnosis to treat her clients' trauma, phobia, pain, depression, addictions, grief, weight loss, and lifestyle changes, to name just a few of her practice areas. She also teaches well-being and personal growth through positive self-talk, coloring mandalas, making vision boards, and, in her own words, many other fun, different, wonderful, and crazy methods. She teaches individuals as well as groups. She has family therapy. She teaches in person, via telephone, and like many others in these days of social distancing, is Zooming day and night. We are delighted Renee will teach us a little today about these fascinating subjects. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you, Eileen.
So why don't we start with telling me what drew you to these sort of alternative therapies of meditation and hypnosis?
Okay, so it started that, I started to read books on, self-improvement, self-hypnosis, hypnosis, meditation. And then I decided in the 90s, when I was a smoker, that I was going to go to a hypnotist to quit smoking. And this was like really, like on the cutting edge that I was doing this. So I went to a hypnotist, and he explained everything to me about what was going to happen, what it was doing to my subconscious mind, how things were going to be, and I stopped smoking. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is like so powerful, because I tried on my own. I'd gone for acupuncture, I had done some other things, and it just didn't seem to work. And that worked for me, and I thought, this is like magical. So then I wanted to learn more about it. So I did read more about it, study more about it, but it wasn't until 10 years ago that I actually went and took classes and got certified. Beautiful.
And what is hypnosis, and how does it work?
So hypnosis is a matter of just relaxing the person or the group, whatever it may be. But so you go into a relaxed state. When you're in that relaxed state, when your body is relaxed, your mind usually follows, and that's relaxed. And then you go into a state that's called theta. And theta is like right before you fall asleep. So, like how when you start to doze off, that's where the subconscious mind is most suggestible. So what you're doing is you're just giving that subconscious mind and that person the beneficial suggestions, the things that they want. Right. So depending on what it is that they want to change.
So it's not some woo-woo or some dark force we're tapping into. You're truly working with your patient's subconscious mind to help reinforce the positive habits and the positive changes that they want to make.
Right, correct, yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you also teach meditation. So why don't you tell us what meditation is? And I know that's a huge, deep, wide subject. So maybe in simple terms, what is meditation and what does it mean to you?
Okay, so a lot of times people will say, well, I can't meditate. I know that there's all different kinds of meditation, and I also know there's all kinds of meditation. And I've never really gotten into any of the real deep type meditations, although during a meditation with me, you can go very deep. I like to call it just simple, easy, wonderful, which comes out to SEW, sew. Oh. So think about when you're sewing and how it just goes and flows. And so that's what I look at the meditation. So what I tell people is just learn how to calm down and relax, and by doing a step-by-step, That's what we do. And I say to them, if thoughts come into your mind, which a lot of times thoughts are going to come into our minds. That's what our minds are supposed to do. They're supposed to think. But when thoughts come into your mind, it's just a matter of just saying, you know what, I'm not going to think about that now. I'm going to go back and listen to what Renee is saying as far as the relaxation. So it's not getting, so it's kind of like, don't get upset with what's happening because now you're thinking about other things. It's kind of just say, you know, I'm just going to release that. I'm going to come back. I'm going to go, you know, listen to the words about relaxation, and I'm just going to continue to relax.
I like that, Renee, because meditation carries such a weight that we think about. If we're going to learn to meditation, we're thinking about thousands of years, and we're thinking about transcendental and mantras, and just and that we're not going to be able to let our thoughts go. So I like the idea that you just really get calmed down, and that you can have your thoughts, and that you can still become very still and get some value from it.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are the similarities between hypnosis and meditation?
Okay, so I actually did a class at Solder World on this, and all it is like relaxation. So if I'm going to do either a group hypnosis, an individual hypnosis, a group meditation, what it is relaxation. So we go either from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes, or from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, and we do a step-by-step relaxation. That's done in hypnosis and self-hypnosis. It's also done in meditation. So it's a matter of relaxing. In meditation, a lot of times you go on a journey. You'll go on a path. You'll go to a special place. You'll get to experience different things that just feel so wonderful. Now, so you're getting beneficial suggestions, how to relax, how to enjoy nature, how to just, be yourself. In hypnosis, now you get beneficial suggestions also. And those beneficial suggestions can be, now you're a non-smoker. Now you're going to feel less anxious. Now you're going to be able to take that test that you were so anxious about. So there's always beneficial suggestions. And because you're relaxed, when you are relaxed, then you go into theta, which is right before you fall asleep. And again, that's when your subconscious mind is most suggestible. So in both cases, it's relaxation and it's getting beneficial suggestions.
And you use your meditative techniques to get your hypnosis patients to the point of relaxation that you can help them with the suggestions for their subconscious mind. Is that
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely,
how it works?
yes.
And can these therapies be life-changing? How do you see, what kind of results do you see with your patients through hypnosis and meditation?
I'm going to tell you, I am surprised when I work with people myself, and I've been doing it for 10 years. But it's just like when I see the wonderful changes, I think, oh my gosh, this is just so wonderful, just by doing a relaxation and giving that person beneficial suggestions. So some of the things that happen are, naturally when somebody's a smoker, I mean, a lot of times in the smoking world, it's just so unhealthy, and people are suffering with unhealthy things. And to think that maybe they've smoked for 40 years and all the habits that go along with it. And we do 1 or 2 sessions and they quit smoking. And to me, that's like magical. It's almost like a miracle. It's like, wow, that's wonderful. And it's wonderful for them too, because now they're going to lead their life in such a healthier way. So that's one thing. But then there's like the dramas and the traumas and the things that have happened to people. So most recently, like in March, there was a lady who wanted to drive over a bridge. And for 20 years, she hadn't been able to drive over a bridge. And her daughter lived at the other side of the bridge. And her daughter was going to have a baby. And what she would do is she would drive up to the bridge, she would call Uber, and Uber would drive her then to her daughter's. So in most cases, her daughter would say, Mom, why didn't you just call? And she goes, oh, I didn't want to bother you, So then they would drive her back to her car. So we did one session, and then she got kind of nervous, and then it ended up to be icy the day that she was going to drive over the bridge early in the morning. So she came back, we did another session, and then she sent me a picture of her just sitting in her car after she drove over the bridge. And she told me about when she pulled up by her daughter's, and she knocked on the door, and her daughter looked at her car, and she goes, how did you get here? And she said, I drove over the bridge all by myself. So it was amazing. And then she sent me, a few weeks later when her daughter had the baby, she sent me all the information about, her daughter having the baby. And she said, I can go there anytime I want and not have to worry about it and not fret about it and not be concerned about driving over the bridge. So
Renee, was there something in her childhood or early life that had contributed to that very unusual phobia, or are just some people subject to particular fears and phobias that don't necessarily come from a drama?
Well, something did happen to her. So when her kids were small, she was driving over a bridge where there was construction, and they were directing her to go a certain way. At least she thought that that's what they were directing her. And she went this way, and she could have been into a very bad accident. She was not, and they corrected her, and she had to back up her car. And by this point, she was like really nervous, and all she thought about was, oh my gosh, I've got my kids with me. This could have been, like very bad. And from that, she had a very difficult time then, even being on a bridge when somebody else was driving, but which she could go over the bridge with someone else driving, but she said very tense, very nervous. And then she said driving herself was just impossible to do.
Oh my, oh my. And that really has to make you feel terrific.
Oh, yes.
That you give people their lives back if they have been so debilitated by something like that.
Yes.
What are some of the other issues that people come to you with?
So I've helped quite a few people also with test taking.
Okay.
And I worked with one lady in March, and she wanted to pass the realtor test. She had taken it twice and did not pass it. And she said, I know that I'm prepared. I know that I'm ready. I just crumble and fall apart when I get there. I'm just so nervous. So it was the day before she was going to have the test done. And we went through step by step, like about the test and what that was going to look like. And I did that during the session also. But then I gave her also pointers and tips, like make sure you get a good night's sleep. Make sure that you get up in the morning and you have breakfast. Make sure that when you get there that you have plenty of time. All the other things that you would think of, but when you're nervous, you're not doing those things. So as soon as she completed the test, she sent me a text and said, oh my gosh, thank you. I never would have been able to do this without you. And what I always say to people is, I did not study for the test. I did not take the test. You were the one that studied. You were the one that took the test. If I had to go in there, I would not be able to pass. All that I did was give you a pathway that you could go on that was just like a calm, easygoing, relaxed state when you got in there to take the test.
Yeah. So you're giving back to people or making them realize that the answer is always inside them, but you just show them how to get there, the roadmap to it.
Yes.
Do you find, Renee, that there are common threads between your clients' issues, traumas, pains, addictions? Are there common threads that you find, even though people come to you with different issues, as you help them overcome those issues?
I think a lot of it is, first of all, the way that we talk to ourselves. Sometimes we're not very kind in our heads when we're saying things to ourselves. So it's always good to, say those words, I am smart, I am okay, I can get through this. Instead, we say the opposite, and I don't want to go to the opposite because, I think the more that we say those words, either out loud or to ourselves, the more that we go into that, the can't and the that's hard and that's difficult. And so the way we talk to ourselves is one thing. And then because we talk to ourselves that way, we have no confidence. So whenever I'm doing a session, there's always lots and lots of confidence builders. Yes. Because if you believe that you can do something, and even if it's something that you have attempted to do for a while and you haven't been able to change it or do that, if you've got those confidence builders and I'm telling your subconscious mind that you can do it with these confidence builders, then that's like 3/4 of the battle right there, to just know that you can do it.
Yes. Do you have any other stories of someone that you were able to help with a condition that they didn't feel that they were going to be able to overcome? I'm sure over the years you have many stories.
Yeah, I do have a lot of stories. A lot of people with the confidence and being anxious, but I would like to tell a story about what this was with my niece. And this had to do with smoking, but it was a little bit different story. So she came to me many years ago, and she said, I want to quit smoking. And I've been trying to do that, and I just haven't been able to. So we did a session, and at the end of the session, she said, I don't think I was hypnotized. I said, okay, well, you don't have anything to compare it to, but you were relaxed, right? And she goes, oh yeah, I was relaxed. And I said, well, that's good. She goes, well, maybe I could come back in 2 weeks just to make sure and just to be able to just experience it again. I said, sure, we can do that. So when she came back 2 weeks later, I said, so how did you do? And she goes, when I left your house, I had a cigarette. I went to a party. I said, okay, what about the rest of the time? Oh no, I didn't smoke. I said, well, that's really good. Then you're like a non-smoker. And she went, no, I'm dreaming about it, and I just know that I need to do another session. And I said, okay, we'll do that. So we did another session, and at the end of that session, she goes, I felt more relaxed, but I don't really think I was hypnotized. And I said, okay, I know I need to come back in 2 weeks because I'm dreaming about it. And I said, okay, we can do that. So again, 2 weeks later, she came back. We did a session again. I asked her how she did. She goes, well, I did fine. I'm just dreaming about it. But remember, I had that cigarette that first time when I left your house. I said, okay, well, don't think about that. Look at how good you're doing. At the end of that session, we got done. She looked at me. She said, I haven't smoked for 4 weeks. I must have been hypnotized. I think I was. Wow, that's like really cool. And so the thing that I like to tell that story, because so many people think that hypnosis is like this big controlling thing, that it's this mystical thing.
Yes.
And it's just being relaxed. And sometimes we don't even realize that when we're relaxed and we're getting suggestions, that we really are, hypnotized, that we are reaching your subconscious mind. And people can do this themselves with self-hypnosis, with relaxing themselves and giving themselves positive suggestions, the things that they truly want, and reach their subconscious mind.
Do you practice self-hypnosis?
I do, and I look at it as a form of meditation. I'm relaxed, and I want to give myself positive suggestions. It might even be like today when I was coming here. I relaxed for a few minutes. I gave myself a positive suggestion that it was going to be relaxed, that it was going to be fun, and it is. But I could have gone the other way and said, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like so nervous about doing this. So I think that when we give ourselves those few little positive suggestions when we relax, that it will make a big difference.
Oh my, that's great. What do you love most about what you do, Renee?
I love supporting people in making the changes that they want and to do it easily. Because so many people think that it's going to be so hard, so difficult to make a change. They're not sure how they do it, and they're kind of stuck. And I think that I like getting people unstuck and supporting them in making the changes. And I like to use the word support too, because they are the ones that are actually making the changes. All that I'm doing is guiding them into the changes that they truly want.
Do you find ever that, and when you were talking about your niece, it occurred to me that she didn't want to let go of the therapy because she's almost thought if she stopped going to see you that maybe she would start smoking again. So do you find that sometimes you have to teach people that you now have the skills that you can have this positive and change in your life without being attached to the therapy from Renee?
Right, and you know what, and I tell people that all the time because I give people tools. I tell them, about self-hypnosis. I tell them about the things that they can do. So I always give them, like the benefits of that. I always give everybody an action plan. So at the end of our session, I go like, what can you do to follow through with the things that we talked about today? And usually I ask them to list 3 things. And these are things that they want. And they can be easy, small things. They can be big things. So it's what they choose to do for the next week or 2 until we have another session. Mm-hmm. Some people come for 3 sessions. Some people come for 8 sessions. So I do have like different packages. Mm-hmm. And some people feel comfortable after one session. I always say, why don't you come for like maybe 1 or 2 more, just to reinforce what we've done, because they might have been doing the same thing for the last, like 30, 40 years, and now all of a sudden they've had one session. And I always think of it as a path. I started them on a new pathway. I started them on a new neural pathway, which is in your brain. And once they start on that pathway, it's just a matter of staying on that path and using that path all the time.
And Renee, you deal with groups also. So we're coming away from this idea that many of us have, that hypnosis, as you said, is some force, it's some very mystical thing. Whereas if you're dealing with an entire family together or a group together, clearly it's not just some force you're channeling to that one person. So it kind of helps us see that this is a very beautiful, very natural therapy where you're working with what we have already naturally, rather than channeling something that people might be a little bit afraid of. Hypnosis, I certainly would have had an idea that you go to a show and you're going to be walking around talking like a chicken or something like that. So I love that you're helping us see that hypnosis is natural and beautiful and helpful, not an object of fun. So what is dealing with people? Because you deal with people at their most vulnerable. They're coming to you and telling you what it is that they feel pain about, or what they need to change, or an addiction. So what has dealing with people taught you about this human condition? What has it taught you about yourself?
I'm going to tell you, I feel like I learned from every single person that I talk to. And this is so funny. When I first started to do hypnosis, learn about hypnosis and work with people on hypnosis, I would read, like through the relaxations for them. And I would start to get groggy and sleepy. I would have to say, oh my gosh, pay attention to what you're doing. And I was paying so much attention to what I was doing that I was relaxing myself also.
Nice.
So,
yes.
So it's like when I give people suggestions and I give people information, I feel like I'm getting it back also. So if it's, to be calm, or to be less anxious, or to be more kind and gentle to yourself when you're talking to yourself, if it's for healthier eating, if it's, just all the things. There's just like so many things that I know that I'm getting all the benefits from that. But not only that, I'm talking to the person, usually for a good, 15 or 20 minutes before I start the session to find out exactly what they want. And I just learned so much from people. Yeah. Some people have the same thing that they want to change, but they're looking at it in a completely different way than somebody that I had worked with, like 2 weeks ago. They have a different viewpoint. They have a different reason for wanting to change it. And so that's why I know that I learned from every single person that I work with, which is fun.
Yeah, and I love that you say that you need to be calm, and you're calming yourself too, because if you're teaching meditation or hypnosis, you've got to be our calm guru, the one who is calming us down, because you can't be frenetic, or how could we possibly get calm in your presence? So I love that in order to practice this therapy, you are always getting calm yourself, and we know that that is good for us. So I love that. What about, Renee, some self-help methods for our viewers now? We are in the midst of this pandemic. We still don't know when it's going to end, when we'll have a vaccine. Many of us are still sheltering in place, still not going out or getting together in groups the way we would have done. So do you have some maybe tips or tricks or therapies or some self-help that our viewers could apply to their lives now? Just a little something that they could take with them to help them feel more calm.
Sure. I like to call it my toolbox. And I give this to all the clients that I work with. I always give them tools and a toolbox. And so what that is it can be simple things like deep breathing. And somebody might say, oh, okay, yeah, deep breathing, but I mean really deep breathing, like deep, long belly breaths, where you feel your belly kind of expanding out and getting all that oxygen in. So it would be like, and a lot of times I like to say, breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. So it would be like just taking a nice deep breath in, and you can kind of feel your belly go up, And then hold that for a moment and then breathe out. And you feel your belly go down. And sometimes just 3 deep breaths like that. And if that doesn't work, then maybe 5 deep breaths like that. And what I like to do when we're doing the deep breaths, or what you can do, is you can think in your mind about, when I breathe in, I'm going to breathe in happiness, peace, calm, love, all positive things. Hold that for a moment, and then when I breathe out, I'm going to breathe out any negativity, anything that I want to get rid of, any aches or pains in my body. And so if you do that each time you breathe in and then each time you breathe out, it can get you to that calm place. When you're in that calm place, a lot of times it's not just our bodies that are tense, it's our minds are tense, or our minds are got like 60,000 things, all these thoughts coming at us. It's hard to make a decision. It's hard to just think. It's hard to like work through what you want to work through. And if you can calm your mind and your body and just kind of leave things open, it's like, oh my gosh, my mind and my body are nice and calm now. There's no thoughts. And sometimes the answer for what you're looking for will just pop into your mind. Because now your mind is like open to receive. Yeah, uncluttered, exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I heard somebody say once, your breath is the best medicine. And you have it with you at all times. It's as close as your next breath.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Renee, this has been terrific. If our viewers want some more information about your classes, about therapy, if they have any questions about hypnosis or meditation, how can they get a hold of you?
Okay, so I do free consultations all the time because sometimes people just have a bunch of questions and I'll be glad to answer them. Because with hypnosis, sometimes it's questions, but sometimes it's concerns, like what is this all going to be like? But the same thing is true about meditation. I'll be glad to answer any questions for anyone. And so I do free 15-minute consultations for people all the time. And then I can talk about some of the programs that I've got. And the best place I would say to reach me would be on my cell phone, to just call me on my cell phone, or you can even text me on my cell phone too. And so that number is 312-203-3185.
Beautiful, and we'll get that up on the screen also. So
Okay.
Viewers, if you have any questions for Renee, take advantage of her 15 minutes. She is very calming. I can tell you, I've been there. Her meditation is beautiful. If you have any questions for Renee, give her a call. If you have any questions for me, as you know, Carolyn Walsh Law, or for future shows, questions, suggestions, you can always reach me at 708-448-5169. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on Where the Road Rises. Goodbye.